Welcome to the Big BoneYard. Enter at your own risk.
I decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.
Hey, happy Sunday to all the peoples out there. Hey, so welcome to the Big BoneYard. I heard I don't know what that was. I heard the noise. Anyway, hey, welcome to the Big BoneYard.
God's watching.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, we had a big following.
Okay. So anyway, like I was saying, welcome to the Big BoneYard. You got myself, doggone Big Bone Center. Hostess with the mostest. I always wanted to say that. I can't remember what cartoon guy used to say that. It was like the mask or some guy used to say that. Or maybe it was Beetlejuice. Maybe. Anyway, so Big Bone 1%er, and you got my man Tate from A-Bay. What's up, Tate?
Same old shit, just different day.
Right on. So yeah, so this is gonna be a fun day. So look, first of all, this has been a long ass day for sure. It's been a long day.
Been a long weekend.
Yeah, it has been. To give you a little bit of it. So I was talking about before about the doggone last week we were talking about the not the income but the open COC meeting that was a RICO seminar. So we had the COC meeting, RICO seminar, first time ever it was open. And brother, this thing did not disappoint. It absolutely didn't disappoint. The place was packed, a lot of different clubs. And let me tell you, this is how you know people was there to stand on business, because there were different clubs who were not in love with each other, who don't exactly care for one another. But guess what? There was no headaches, no sweat, no BS, no nothing. Folks was there for business. It was very good, very successful. And shout out to everybody that was a part of that thing today, that contributed both in conversation, information. The attorney Jerry Theophilopoulos, Jerry T, he did his doggone thing. We had a number of different folks. I'm not at liberty to discuss who all was there, but let's just say some folks pretty high up in the MC world were all there. So anybody who was anybody was there. If you wasn't there, you might want to check your pedigree. I'm just saying. But anyway, but yeah, it's been a busy weekend.
I was not in the
cherry on top. I ain't talking about you, man. You know, I know
I couldn't be there.
You're in Chicago.
You're
doing your world traveling joint, so you know that's what that was. Oh, by the way, the little square. I figured out what the little square was. That's just comments on the screen. So that's kind of a cool thing. So we can hit a button, they're gone. Bap like that, bring them back is very cool. But anyway, you know, modern technology. But yeah, man. So Tate, how was Chicago?
Amazing.
But wait a minute. You know, let's leave it at that because we can't go into too much of a great detail on that. But
Amazing. I'll just leave it at that.
right on. So look,
Sometimes
folks.
I know what you mean.
Hey, I just wanted to say, so for those of y'all who've been here riding with us for a little bit, y'all already know that. Know what I'm about to say, and that is this. Tate and I are going to talk about all kinds of different things. We want to make it very clear that the opinions expressed on this show and whatever we say, these are our opinions. These are our opinions only. They do not reflect the opinions of our club or organizations in any fashion whatsoever. This is what we got to say about whatever we got to say about. And that's all I got to say about that. That's I broke out with the Forrest Gump on it. You know, I gumped it at the end. You saw that, right?
You gumped it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I had a lot of fun with the. Let me see if I can find it with the description of tonight's show, and I can't find it, but it was very cool. Anyway, we talked about some animals or some such stuff. If y'all can find it, let me know what it was. But basically, what we're talking about tonight, the subject or the way it was written was the patchover. Is it time to grow or is it time to go? Let me see if I can find it because it was actually really cool. Let me see if I can find that. Nope. Okay, I don't got it. All right, never mind. Anyway,
What's up, Foxy?
Oh, Foxy in the house. What's up, Foxy? Man, it's always good to see you, Foxy. But yeah, look, Foxy, I was one. Foxy called earlier. I was trying to get back at you, but it was running like a crazy man and all like that. But Foxy was asking how everything went at the seminar today, the Rico seminar, and it was absolutely excellent. I'm gonna catch up with you after we wrap up, Foxy, and catch you up to speed on it and everything. Everybody knows Foxy. She's the GM from the Proc, and she does her damn thing. She's also a new board member for Income, and Income don't even know how good they got it right now, but I'm real excited about that. In fact, I think a lot of folks are. But so let's get into it. So first of all, and the way this came up, some folks were asking, what is a patchover? And then some other folks said, well, the answer to the question was, somebody said, oh, well, that's what they do on Sons of Anarchy. That means it's a big old party when new people come into the club. It's so that they can have a party. And
D just posted the description. D just posted douche.
Oh, okay.
Let's for a second that your club are the big dogs on campus. Stop posting for 1 second. The big dogs on campus, but still not the biggest fish in the pond. You're in a horse race to get to the finish line, but in order to win, you need to fly like an eagle. But your club is growing slow, like a bunch of turtles. Wait a minute. What do all these animals have to do with motorcycle clubs? Well, nothing. But since you're still reading this, let's talk about patchovers. This is an age-old practice that many clubs have done to help them grow. But what does it mean? Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Wow. Very well said. And I don't know where you found that, D, but appreciate it. Because, yeah, that's what it is. So the question is it a good thing or a bad thing when we're talking about patchovers? Some clubs, not outlawed, but wrong choice of words, but some clubs discontinued the practice of doing a patchover. Some clubs still do it to this day. I've heard the expression back in the day. They said, hey, a patchover, that's outlaw blood. That's outlaw blood. That's the lifeline to being in regard to one percenters. Hey, that's the way outlaws do what we do. That's the way outlaws grow, right? I've heard good, bad, and indifferent, left, right, sideways, up, down, good, bad, all like that. So we're going to get into that a little bit tonight. And I know Tate, so for a lot of folks out there, if you got a question, don't be shy. Give us a call. Let us know what you're thinking. But also, you can give us a call or post it right here in the room. And Tate's going to ask some questions that might just answer some of the questions that y'all had on this patchover thing, because for some reason it keeps coming up. And I think it has to do with what's going on in the motorcycle community today. But so Tate, what's up? What is your question, sir?
Well, I mean, let's start it off for everybody. What exactly, just to give us a groundwork, basement, what exactly is a patchover? Okay.
Good way to start. Okay, so a patchover is this. If y'all look, and I don't know if you can see the thumbnail or the image that's on tonight's show, but there's a bunch of big guys on motorcycles or standing next to their motorcycles, standing over a bunch of little guys. So basically the idea is like this. Your club, and it does not have to be this big, gigantic national club as some folks think, but your club, for whatever reason, you're doing well. You're like we said in the description, you're the big dogs on campus or whatever. And there's another club, let's say they got good, solid guys, hopefully. But for some reason or another, they might be struggling, or they're just a smaller club. And if you have a little bit of say-so, what's up, my brother? But if you have a little bit of say-so, a little bit of sway, we'll get more into that in just a little bit. But a patchover is where you say to that smaller club, you know what, you guys, you now have the opportunity to be in my club. So your whole entire club is no longer going to be your club. You get to be us. Now, how that happens is a couple of different ways, but basically the idea is a smaller club joins a larger club. Their club doesn't exist anymore, and all of these guys just made that larger club even larger. So that's the idea. That's what a patchover is, and there's a lot of variables that go along with that. But in short, smaller club joins a bigger club just got bigger. So that's what a patchover is. That's in the basic nuts and bolts of it. So if that didn't make sense to anybody, just let me know. I'm not even drinking yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so while I'm still speaking English, right on.
Let's see.
So did that kind of answer the question for, like, did I explain that well enough for folks watching, you think?
I think so.
All right.
Here's one I got.
And now Foxy says, because I love what Foxy says. Foxy has good stuff to say about earthing. Foxy says patchovers can be good for growth. Leadership problems make it not so good for some. I swear she's got the crystal ball, because I was going to get into that. That's exactly one of the things I was going to bring up. And so we're going to get into that. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, what was your next thing, brother?
So when doing a patchover, and I can kind of get some of this information from you because you kind of high up there in the world. Let's say your organization or an organization you're affiliated with was going to patch over another organization. Mm-hmm. Do you got to take them all, or can you pick and choose?
Okay, so and that's a good question. So here's what happens with that. In a traditional or in a true patchover, what happens is that larger club says, we're taking all of you guys, and they do have the opportunity, and it does happen, where they will say, except for you and you. Like, you are a screw up and we know about it already, so we don't want you. And your cousin is a cop and y'all are real tight, so we don't want you. Or like in the case of a co-ed club, for example, they'll say, okay, all of you guys, this actually happened here in my area a number of years back, where this larger diamond club said to this one particular club, been around forever and ever and ever. They said, hey, all of you guys that we're bringing y'all this way, because that club had like a rift. The club was falling apart. So more than half the members left that smaller club. And they said, hey, we want to join your bigger club. And they said, great, come on over. And they did. And then they said, oh, by the way, after everybody left and they turned in their rags and all this kind of stuff, they said, oh, by the way, all of you guys are now with my club. But by the way, you guys that are not on Harleys, you guys, we're going to call you by a different name. So you're not like full patch members. You're like a junior farm league. You guys will be the support club. You guys will be full members. So these guys on Harleys got full patches. The ones on sport bikes got full patches, but for the support club. And the women, because it was a co-ed club, the women all were told, oh, by the way, you are all now POs. You get to be property of. And some of the women were like, okay, cool, whatever. And some of those other chicks are like, hey, wait a minute. I'm pounding the ground doing everything that my brothers did in the smaller club to earn my patch. And now you're telling me that don't count no more? I got to be somebody's property? What the hell? So that was a circumstance where they kind of picked and choose who they wanted and who they didn't want. There's also the circumstance where that larger club might say, hey, we're taking every one of you, but we're going to put y'all on probation for 6 months or a year, and anybody who doesn't work out, you're off the set. Like, as in, we don't want to see you in nobody's motorcycle club for at least a year. So your motivation to do well with that new club is to do well with that new club, because if not, you are going to be disappeared for at least a year. So that's some of them variables that come up. There's a lot of variables. That's a good question, though. And there's still even more variables to it than that. So I guess to answer your question, do you have to take everything? Ask your question again. So I want to make sure I got it right. You said, do you? Hey,
can you pick and choose who you take, or do you have to take everybody?
Right. So you can do, basically, short version, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. But traditionally, it's kind of like, what I explained. Yeah, Foxy said me, not gonna
I was gonna say that. I was gonna be like, I couldn't see Foxy putting on a POK.
What happens is it's a lot of variables with that, because some ladies are like, the idea of being a PO in some clubs and in some environments, that means that you've got an old man that you're attached to, and you're his PO. In others, that don't have to be your boyfriend, your husband, or nothing. That could be your cousin, your next door neighbor, or just somebody cool that you know from the set. So it depends. And then also, depending on which club and how they are, some POs are, like in my club, POs have a great notoriety, big respect, and all like that. And some other clubs, not so much. But so the PO situation kind of depends on who you're talking about and where, who and where you're talking about. But no, that's a fact. I get that.
Is the party a thing?
That is the party. Let's see. Let me.
You knew the party question was coming.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Let me keep it a whole entire buck. All right. So yes, the party. Not only is the party a thing, the party can be a hell of a thing. So I've seen patchover parties that lasted for 4 days. No kidding. And part of the you coming over here was contingent upon you lasting all 4 days of that patchover party. I've seen him just 1 day. But yeah, a patchover party is a real thing. And in fact, a patchover party is like a crazy great excuse to have a crazy blowout party that some folks weren't even expecting. Because I've seen guys come into this thing, they get patched over, and bam, there's the party. And it's the party like they've never seen before. So yeah, a patchover party is a serious cool thing. It's a lot of fun. If you ever have the opportunity to go to one, get your ass there. But yeah, that's a good thing though, because what was Sons of Anarchy? I remember they had an episode where they patched over the guy's
like Jax's uncle's club.
Yeah, it was his uncle.
Nevada.
Right. And they patched him over. And I remember that scene where the guy yelled, "Patch over party." And I was thinking, that's a little corny, but for real, that's kind of how you feel when you hear a patch over party's coming. So yeah, that's a real thing. And I've been to a few of them, and they ain't never disappointed. I mean, there's some bum ass clubs that have a killer patch over party just because it's a patch over party. Oh, Foxy said, and yep, she said she's witnessed the surprise patch over. Look, that could be, let me tell you about that. So the surprise patch over, I'm going to jump into, I was going to say for later, I'll just go ahead and tell you now. So back in the day with my original motorcycle club, there was a club, they're not in existence anymore because, we kind of retired them, but the club was called Saints of Chaos. And they were, a decent club, had good numbers and everything else. They had, like, in the one chapter, they had almost 40 members. So we're like, all right. And most of them was pretty solid. Same difference. They had a few females. I think there was like 5 females in that club. Anyway, so we patched over the club, and it was a different situation at different times. So this was what we refer to as a get down or lay down. So either you're going to get down with us or you're going to lay down and be done. It was one or the other. But come tomorrow morning, your club ain't going to exist no more. So you got some decisions to make. But so that club, the majority of that club was like, hey, we're coming. But just like on the TV show, when the meeting was over, some of them cats left, threw their rags on the ground and left mad. But the majority of them was like, hell yeah, let's go ahead and do this thing. And it was the patchover party was freaking insane. We had a 2-day patchover party. The first night was in the clubhouse. That went until about noon or 2 p.m. the next day. Let everybody go home, take a shower, catch a nap and all like this. Picked back up at about 8 o'clock that night. Took it to the strip club, partied at the strip club, left the strip club with a bunch of strippers, came back with us and back to the clubhouse and da-da-da-da-da. And after that, everybody was half dead, but the party was freaking legendary. And in the meantime, my club at the time grew by about 30 members, like overnight. And they were really, really solid individuals too. So that was the example of a good patchover. That's not always the case. So that one worked out. Stop reading the messages and tell me this. You always do that. Stop doing it.
Well, I like to interact with our people.
Yeah.
And Foxy's always got smart stuff.
Yeah, she does.
Like that one.
She goes, sometimes you get a majority do a patchover, but their old club still exists with those who chose not to go. So in the example that I gave you first time, where that club had like a bit of a rift and the club split in half. So those folks who were disenfranchised or angry with the club left the club and went over to that new club that I mentioned to you. But that their old club was still in existence. They're still very much in existence today. So yeah, that's the thing. Just because there's a patchover doesn't mean that old club necessarily goes away. In the case of Saints of Chaos, that's why I use their name. They don't exist anymore because we patched. It was a get down or lay down. That's a little different situation. That's like, we're not leaving no more of this club. When we patch over, that's it. This club don't exist no more. But that's not always the case, just like Foxy said. So, all right, Black Dragon said,
flat tire.
What's up? I got a flat tire on my back wheel, so I got to take my bike to the shop. So I'm walking to the store as we speak, and I'm just going to listen. That's what's up, man. That is a dedicated viewer, and we appreciate you. We always appreciate you, Black Dragon.
You're doing better than me, because I rode for 3 months with a flat black back tire.
Did you say black tire? You racist?
No, all my tires have been black except for on my second bike. I had white walls.
Oh, you got a type. All right. What's the next question?
A national club patches over a state club.
Yep.
Are all the chapters patched over, or just the local chapter?
It depends. I've seen both. In some circumstances, so in was it 2017? There was this good club. They're still in existence in some places. They had 12 chapters in the United States. Most of those chapters were up and down the East Coast. And when the patchover opportunity presented itself, the club that patched over 8 of the 12 chapters throughout the East Coast. So, and the funny thing was, those chapters that were left, they pretty much all faltered, which was weird because they were in different locations. And you think, okay, well, just because those 8 chapters patched over, that shouldn't affect the existing clubs, but it did. So within a year, those I want to say it was 4 more chapters. There was 4 chapters that never patched over. Within a year, they were all done. They went the way of the dinosaur, But the answer is so no. That doesn't by default mean that every single chapter patches over with them. But here's the thing: if you're that larger club and those new chapters are in some different places and territories where you always wanted to be, that's a great way to do it. So now you don't have to relocate people or anything else like that. You patch over the folks that's already there, and bam, now you just planted your flag. And in the case of this club, 8 new places.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's
So
definitely the way to do it.
is it always a support club, or is there instances where you patch over a club that does not wear a support patch?
Okay, so first of all, no, it is absolutely not always a support club. In fact, it's very rarely a support club that gets patched. I mean, sometimes, but it's very rarely a support club that gets patched over. Because support clubs, just like feeder clubs, what happens is a lot of times members in a support club, they want to what we call step up. So they've been in the support club for a while, and they're like, hey, you know what? I think I've gotten as much out of this part of my MC career or this journey. I got as much as I'm going to get out of this. It's time for me to step up and go to the big brothers. So the dominant in their area is probably where they're looking. So they're not going to patch over. They're going to step up, provided that they're allowed to. So support clubs, that's not usually who you're talking about when you're talking about a patch over. A patch over is a club that might be, they might be cool with you. They might be, maybe you bless them to fly in this area, that area, and another area, but that doesn't mean but they're not a support club. So, and sometimes it's a club that's completely unaffiliated with you. You just happen to come, like, for example, if you come into an area and you want to grow and get strong, and you see, hey, there's a smaller club that it seems like they got some potential. Hey, patch over. What's up, nephew? Brooklyn in the house. Yeah, that's a good question though, because the thing with the patchovers is there's so many variables, and the way, again, going back to the TV show, it looked like it was just one thing, but in real life now, and again, I do want to reiterate, it's not impossible for a support club to get patched over, but usually when you're thinking of patching a patch over, that ain't who you're looking at, because they're already with you. You know what I mean? So it's that
Foxy
kind
had a good one. Do patch over members get full rags immediately?
Oh, great question. And and I hate to say depends, but it depends. I personally hate that practice of patching over a club, and some folks who haven't been through the fires with you, and they got the full set of rags just like you got, and you actually earned them. They earned their patches in their old club, but did they earn mine?
Well,
So
each
so in
club's different.
yeah, exactly. There's it's different for each club, and it's also different. Hold on, yet geographically. So regionally, the practice, the tradition is a little bit different from East Coast to West Coast, believe it or not. But so in some places, hey, a patch over means you got a full set on that day. That day, you got a full set. Or if not that day, in a couple of days, like, because most folks, when they got rags, they don't want to wait a long time to get them. In some cases, a patch over means, okay, we're going to patch over your whole club. There's 15 guys. And guess what? For the next 2 months, y'all are like probies all over again for the next 2 months. Provided you make it, then you're going to get a full set. And that's weird to me, because now those are guys who basically are treated like probies, but they actually know what date they're supposed to get their full set of rags. In real life, a probie is not supposed to have any clue. He crosses, like when like one of these probates asked me, hey, how much longer do I have to wait? First of all, whatever
Another
it was,
6 months what it was.
I just added a month to that. Every time you ask me that question, I'm going to throw another month on there. I don't care what it was, because you cross over, you get patched when you're supposed to. That's my answer. When you're supposed to. It does not have to be a year or 2 years or 3 years. You get patched over when it's time, when you're ready, right? So don't ask me that question. But when you do a patch over where these guys are told, okay, you're gonna probate for 60 days or 90 days or whichever, and at the end of that, we're gonna give you this. I hate that, but it does happen.
I knew you'd love that question.
Yeah.
Being a
And
diamond carrier and also being a Marine, you've had to earn your shit your whole life.
Yeah, you know, and
So what?
Foxy knows me, so she knows that she knows that question was going to bug me because what happens is that you know it's a quality versus quantity issue. And Foxy and I have had these conversations so many times, but what happens is you patch over whomever, and they get a full set that day. The rest of the planet don't know that there was a patch over and he just got that full set that day. So when he goes out in the world and shows his ass or does something stupid or starts some beef with somebody or does any of the things that brings discredit on my club, they're not gonna, you know, the world isn't gonna say, give him a break. He just got those. He's a patchover kid. No, that ain't how it works. What's gonna happen is they're gonna say those guys are messed up. Look at what those guys are doing. Even if it's just that one guy who just got that full set of rags. Look what they are doing. They speak in the plural. Look how they are. So no, I hate the fact that a guy can just get patched over and got a full set of rags, and we don't know nothing about him, don't know how he's moving. So in a perfect world, before there's a patch over, you should really know who you're talking about. I mean, every swinging dick in that club that you're getting ready to patch over, you're supposed to know something about them, enough about them to say that they are worthy of putting on the same rags that you got, the ones that you earned. You know, so that's a thing. So that's one of those. Wait, what? Oh, Fox said that part. That gray area of not having everyone go through the experience. Some have to hang around, prospect, and all that, but yet some patchovers just come right in without any of that. And that's that thing that drives me friggin' crazy. But you know, I'm not against patchovers. I'm just against that part of it. You know, hey, you want to get patched
Hey,
over?
I
You
get
need to
that
earn it.
because the Walmart riders, they got one way they get their rags. You know, I was gonna say Kmart riders, but they already got patched over because there ain't no more Kmart. So we'll say the Target riders, um, they may have had to do something completely different to get their rags, and now they're like, oh well, they only did like three, a quarter of what I did. Why the hell do they got the same thing on their back that I got on mine?
You know what? I'll tell you. So what Foxy said right here is so perfect. See, clubs don't always know what they're getting with patchovers. So you're patching over somebody who don't hang around. They didn't prospect or nothing else. So that shaking my head is right on point. So I was telling me and some of the bros was talking today after this after the Rico seminar. So we kind of got together, went out, got some food, and we were chit-chatting about a few things. And we were actually talking about not a patch over, but this one club. And I was telling them how I had the privilege back in 2005 to actually be at somebody else's clubhouse that's down south of me, and actually saw how they crossed over their probates. And it was crazy to me. I'll share it with you. I ain't saying who it was, but it was absolutely crazy. And what it was this. They had a big, basically a pit that was muddy and dirty. I'm pretty sure somebody peed in it. I mean, because it smelled bad. It looked horrible. And they tell those probates, hey, probates, get over there. And they put them in the mud. And they were on their knees in the mud. And they were turned around backwards. And there were 10 probates. And the I guess it was the sergeant at arms said, okay, when I tell you, turn around and get your rags. And he blew a whistle. And he turned around and he threw one set, just only one set of rags he threw in the pit. There's 10 guys in there. So what do? They figured it out real quick. They were fighting it out for that one set. Then after, I don't know, 20 seconds or something, he throws in a second. Now those guys are fighting, and a third, and so on and so on. And at the end, he only threw in 9 sets. So everybody's fighting it out for those 9. It's 10 guys now, remember? It's 10 guys. So they're fighting it out for those 9 sets of rags. So you might, if you're doing the math, isn't that that's one short, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So what happens to that one guy who don't get his full set of rags? Well, when they blow the whistle and say, hey, that's it, whoever's got them and wear them, it belongs to them. Whoever isn't is out. He's out. And he can't even have the conversation, can't go to another club, can't do nothing for at least a year, at least a year. And if they do take him back after that year, guess what? He starts all over from Jump Street. I was like, and I watched this. It blew my freak. Oh, and then here's the second part of it. These guys are nasty, filthy, stinking, dirty, and the whole thing. And guess what happens after they get their patches, everything? They come back out, and you're gonna party for the next 3 days. You're gonna go out, you're gonna go to bars, you're gonna go to strip clubs, everything else. You're gonna stay nasty, dirty, and filthy, as offensive as you could possibly be. And that's part of their thing. That's part of their thing. I look, my situation, I'm not going to go into it. My situation wasn't all that sweet or nothing like that, but it wasn't that. I'm thinking that looked like hepatitis in a damn dirty ass swimming pool or something. I'm like, oh, fuck that. But anyway, Foxy said the other rub for me is when patchover folks come straight into leadership positions with no club, with no clue about protocols of the club that they patched into. They don't even know who their bros are. I saw. And Foxy, man, you're hitting on all 8 cylinders. So I saw this dude who left from one OMC, and he got and this was called a patchover, or what? Excuse me, it's actually called patch for patch. So when they go patch for patch, that means X number of guys from this smaller club can go over to this newer club. If you got a full set when you come to us, you're getting a full set that same day. You give your old rags back to your old club. The new club gives you a full set that day. Again, not a big fan of that, right? But like Foxy said, do you know they made this fool a regional president? A regional president. I'm not saying what club, but they made this fool a regional president, and he was in a cabinet position. Not even all that good of he wasn't all that great in his cabinet position, but this fool became a regional president on like day 3.
Damn.
The hell? Come on now. That's like but yeah, so that's some of the stuff that happened. So like when we were talking last week, I think it was when we were talking about quality over quantity. This is one of those. Hey, we need numbers. We don't care about the quality. So that's always an issue.
And that's the thing. A lot of these clubs, like, you gotta hit. If it's a state club, you gotta hit every house in your state. If it's a national club, you gotta at least hit every house in your region.
Well, it depends on the club. I mean, I hear what you're saying. You're speaking about from the
as a probate to a full patch. A lot of the clubs that I've been around, that's how they operate. Yeah. So to be a patchover and not even have to hit houses, like, your brothers in other parts of the state or the region don't even know who the hell you are. Oh, you're just walking into a clubhouse and they're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right. Oh yeah, that's a fact. So what you're saying is correct. In some cases, excuse me, in some cases, that's part of the deal. You gotta, hit a lot of every house in the state, depending on what club. But yeah, that's a thing. But sometimes they have other criteria that usually have something to do with knowing who your bros are, right? And if there's a patchover situation, nobody knows who you are. Nobody. Can I trust this dude? I mean, it's like for example, in my club, one of the things that we do is we ride. We actually ride motorcycles. There's that expression that says we don't bar hop. We break state lines. That ain't no joke. In my club, your ass is going to be riding from the time that you say, yep, from the time you put from the time you become a probie, your ass is riding a lot. You will do thousands and thousands of miles on your motorcycle. And you're going to a lot of different houses. You're going to a lot of events. You're going to a lot of everything, right? And in the process, and part of the reason for that is so that new guy can learn to ride like we ride, because we're actually quite famous for the way in which we ride. I've heard it described a few times as it looks like synchronized swimming on motorcycles. It's kind of cool. It's a great, makes you feel good when people, oh my God, look at that. That was so cool, right? Even when we park a certain way, we pull out a certain way. It's real cool. You ain't going to learn that in a week. If you get somebody just gave you that patch You ain't gonna get that from a YouTube video. You get that from getting your ass on the motorcycle, pounding the ground, and going from here, there, and damn everywhere. And in the process of going here, there, and everywhere, you're gonna, like it or not, you're gonna get to know some folks, and they're gonna get to know you. So if you're a straight up clown, folks are gonna figure that out. But thank God, at least I can say for my club, we're kind of anti-clown around this. But any club, somebody can, you got a few clowns that'll slip through. But
Speaking of clowns.
Oh yeah. So Foxy right on time says, man, it's like clowns looking for their next circus gig just waters down the real culture. And that's a fact. So again, patchovers can absolutely be a good thing, depending. It's very much depending. And Jazz actually knows, because Jazz been on shit. He's been in the club since Jesus was in short pants type of situation. So I know, Jazz, have you seen, how many patchovers would you say you've seen in your day? Right. He types slow, so he'll tell us in a minute.
Look, he ain't got his glasses on either.
Not my monkey, not my zoo. Ghost Eagle. What's up, Ghost Eagle? Good to hear from you, man.
So on your side of the set, somebody like me is not eligible for membership. My club gets patched over. What happens to me?
Let me make sure I'm hearing this properly so I can answer it properly. You're saying if my club was to patch over the club that you're in,
yes,
and since you wouldn't be eligible for membership, what would happen to you?
Yes.
Well, it would depend. Let's say, how many guys like yourself would it be were in your club when this patchover happened?
Let's say 15.
Was it only you? So 15? Like how many guys in the club, and how many guys like yourself would be in that club? We can do numbers because we're talking about not a real club.
Let's say 10 and 5. 10 and 5. So 5 of you and guys like you, and 10 guys that we're going to patch over, right? Yeah.
Okay. So what would happen there is a couple of different things. One option is those 5 guys can maintain, because there's 5 of them. They can keep that club up and running, right? And those 10 guys, hey, patch over, come on over here. Let's see how it's going to work. The other option is we're patching over everybody. And these guys, I'm not going to go into that on the air, but these 10 guys that are qualified to come this way, hey, you guys are going to come this way. But for yourself, so for Tate and those other 4 guys, we're going to say, hey, no problem. We've got this support club right here. And so we're all going to be doing the same shit. We're going to be, hitting the same house. We're going to be doing all the same stuff anyway. Hey, hello, and thank you for calling the Big BoneYard. You got Big Bone 1%er and Tate from A-Bait on the line. Who's calling us today?
You know it's Jazz.
I know it's
Jazz.
Better than that. I just wanted to say all that stuff.
That up, man. Jazz? Hey, Foxy, Miami. Anybody else? I don't have my reading glasses on, so I don't know who all's in the chat.
Told you he didn't have his glasses on.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Jazz?
The big one Tate touched on. You got to ride where every chapter of the new club is. Because, like, I've been on medical for a minute now. And there's people that have come in that I don't know. And like he said, I thought we have a member that actually got interviewed. And he was looking at clubs, and he said, when I found out this club broke state lines, that's all he cared about.
Yep.
Was breaking state lines. And there's 3 or 4 chapters in that particular state. He didn't give a shit. He wanted to break state lines.
Right.
When I heard that, I was like, hell yeah, I ain't done that kind of shit since I was in my 30s, and I was 50. So I'm with you on that, Tate. There's people coming in now that have 100 mutual friends just on social media, and I don't even know their names.
Yep.
But I've been on medical for a minute, so it's understandable. But you have a patch over, and say it's like you said. Let's say the one 8 out of 12,
right?
4 that didn't cross over before that probably didn't need to cross over, because they fell out. Okay. But those other 8, and I'm halfway across the country. Well, shit, I'm all the way across the country from the East Coast.
Right on.
I don't know them. I roll up and say, one brother, Bone, me and you talk some shit.
Yeah, yeah.
We got another member told me I wasn't allowed in Texas.
What?
You know, and he was clowning, but he did it with a straight face. 3 bros stood up. Oh, we got a problem here? I was like, with me? You know, it's like, wait a minute, we got the same shit on our back. Yeah, but this is our boss. And he just said, you can't come to our state.
Wow.
That, you know, but he was clowning when he did it, but they were ready to stand up because we never met.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's something that can happen.
Oh,
And when we were talking like the Patchover with the Sons of Anarchy, it was Jerry and the Tribe.
Yeah, that okay.
Jackson's dad,
Yep.
Jerry were Nam together. That was their connection. The Tribe was not 1%. Obviously, the Anarchy, you know, Sam Crow was. Brought him in for, you know, for business reasons, shall we say, because, you know, all the shit on TV. But when they brought him in, 4 or 5 guys walked out and just dropped their rags on the ground because they didn't want to make that change. Okay, that's perfectly fine. But in the TV show, right after that, here come the fucking Mayans and there's a shootout. If you ain't ready for this, you know, I like the idea of you patch over a club because they've been rolling like you for X amount of time, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 5. And it's just time. Hey, look, man, you guys have been like on equal grounds with people that are beneath you in the way you roll.
Yeah. Now,
so we know you as a club, but I don't know your individual people.
Right, right.
And that's the only difficulty I see in a Patchover. But the parties are phenomenal. Yes, they man, you be peeing on yourself and don't give a shit. You know, shit like not figuratively speaking.
Look,
you get shit faced fucked up.
Dude, look, let me tell you.
In a safe environment.
Jazz, I've seen Patchover parties that have absolutely destroyed marriages and relationships that produce children.
This lifestyle can destroy. Okay, we're sitting here talking about how intense the party is. Yeah. People have lost their families just joining a club.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And now you're talking about the most the Patchover party is the absolute biggest party, except maybe the 50th anniversary.
Right.
Of a club.
Yeah,
there's probably nothing bigger and more debauchery happens at a Patchover party.
Oh yeah,
because you're bringing into somebody and you want to show them the absolute best time that you've experienced your entire time in the club, and they want to know how extreme can it get.
Yeah, it's like here's how we get down, and that's
this is what we do.
The Sodom and Gomorrah starts right there.
Here it is. No pillar of salt. You might not want to look back because you won't know which way is back.
Yo, Foxy said the bike set entanglements are real.
No. Hey, you got to go back to our last one. Bone, if Tate was in a majority black club, you know he wouldn't be welcomed. Sorry. Meanwhile, Tate was probably the best person in the club.
I saw that. I was going to get to it. Actually, there was a question. That was a great question. Jazz, I'm going to give this to you. So the question is, what do you think about clubs that split and all of a sudden a new chapter of a new club opens from that split? So other blessed or established groups in the region, should they have to ask for a blessing? Oh wait, actually, let's both do it. So the answer would be yes. Not only are you supposed to ask for it,
new club, and that's just my opinion again.
Yeah, no,
you know, being one of those guys that was in a new club, but not from a club that got patched over, but just a new club. You had to go, even when there wasn't a set, you had to roll around and let everybody know who you were and what you were getting ready to do.
Oh yeah.
And that's just common courtesy. You move into a new neighborhood. The neighbors come over and want to know who the fuck just moved on their block. Basically the same thing. You got a whole lifestyle out there at different levels, and here you go dressing like they do with something they've never seen. They want to know who you are.
Yep.
It's like, hey, who are you? When I came out here out west, at the level I was at, I was leaving one type of club that was in the 99 section, and I was being brought up, bypassing the outlaw stage because people knew me, straight into wearing jewelry. I had to go to the outlaw club and say, hey, you guys have known me for a while. You see what's parts of what's on my back. If I make it in, I'm not leaving the state. I'm going to plant a flag. Is anybody got a problem with that? I was the only one, so I was the only one they had to deal with.
Right.
But they relied on me in finding like-minded people. And I got lucky. I really did get lucky. A couple of the guys were a little this, and a couple other guys a little of that. But as we matured in the club, everything worked out all right.
Well, see, it goes to
something else I
protocol.
wanted to touch on about the support club.
Oh, good.
That's what I was going to ask.
My opinion and what I've seen, support clubs are just that. They're there to support you, to show up to your events, that you can show them love, and they're there when you need it. It's manpower.
Yeah.
Sometimes the support clubs are all women, all female. I don't like using the term female because the difference between maleness and manhood, same as female with womanhood. So I think of females are they're not quite ready to be up here, and that's personal stuff. So I say when an all-woman club is a support club, but they're not a social club. They ride their shit.
Right. And, see,
and you want to patch, you keep them right there because they fill that niche very, very well.
And see,
So
now that's also,
are,
Jazz, while you are correct, that's one of those things, and I hate to say it all the time, but it's also it's contingent upon who the dominant is and geography. Because in some areas, that's incredibly taboo. But as we know, some other places are like, hey, I'll tell you just straight up, no two ways about it. Somebody told me this years ago, and I had to say, hey, let me see with my own eyes how true this is. And a dude, outlaw told me, he said, this is years ago. He said, man, he says, I know, pardon my French, but he said, man, there's some bitches out there that can outride, outfight, and outshoot half of these so-and-sos out here on the set right now. I said, okay.
Oh, you know my PO.
Yeah. And look, I can tell you for a fact, I know several of them. One of them, she's not a PO, but there's a certain lady that's on the chat right now who is all of that, who can get it in any day of the week.
You know what?
And twice on Sunday. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
I'm gonna sit there and speculate. I'm gonna throw Foxy's name in there.
I just did.
Okay. I didn't hear you say Foxy, but I know that's the kind of woman you're talking about because I've had a conversation with her.
Ambush.
Never met her.
Ambush out of Orlando is another one. And I could go
No,
down.
we had Secret.
Yeah, Secret, of course.
Not necessarily a fighter, but outright me.
Oh, yeah.
And,
but look.
And I hate to say it, man, I'm 20 years older than her. And she's done more cross-country runs than I have. And I got 20 more years of time to do it. That's some shit for anybody to say. And now I just met another PO that if she loses her sponsor, I'm throwing my recruitment flag real high in the air with a flag.
All right, well, let's not say her name because you're going to make somebody mad because I know who you're talking about. So we ain't going to.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You have no idea.
I know who her sponsor is.
You have no idea who I'm talking about. No, you don't.
All right, I don't know nothing. You're right. I don't know.
But yeah, but you see what I'm saying? There are people out there that ride their shit because they're passionate about riding.
Yeah.
And there's different levels of that.
And
here's
the funny thing: people forget about, because there's so much stuff going on. Folks forget that being in a motorcycle club or being on the set, it's where we get to ride motorcycles. Because people get
I keep forgetting that you're.
What's a motorcycle?
They get caught up in all the stuff, and they forget about the fact that we ride motorcycles, and if we do it right, we get to go to a different state or a different part of the state, and we get to do that. That's like our regular day-to-day. But going back to Jay's question, though, his thing was, should they have to ask for a blessing? So, and I'm sure you caught it, but the answer would be absolutely yes. I think
if it's a new club, and your area is set up to where that's common practice, then yes, every new club, no matter how they became a new club, always has to go for the blessing.
Well, like Foxy,
gotta go in front of
Foxy just pointed out a second ago. Here it is. Foxy just said, even though it's a split, it's still a new club. It's
It's
still
still a new club.
Yeah.
On
So guess
that
what?
one,
They gotta just like everybody else.
on that one, and you know how I am when it comes to protocol, Bone.
Mhm.
If it's a split, 6 months to a year before you can put a new set of rags on. You shouldn't be able to put a new set of rags on right away.
Traditionally, here's
Well,
what
if
happens.
the old club dies
Mhm.
before you can start a brand new club, I agree with you.
Right.
6 months to a year. That would be if there was a vote thrown out, I would go with one of the 2 years. I'd probably be, in my personal opinion, that's a little bit much because they've already been there. They know what's going on. The old club is no longer in existence. More than likely, the people that want to start a new club have brought more people with them, and nobody knows them. We want to make sure that that club gels well together and brings something to the set or the COC or the round table at the top.
Right.
Yeah. What are you bringing as a new club? Because
Well,
if you're just bringing the same old,
Okay.
join something that's already there.
All right. So
That's
let's
where I
move
was
on a little
going
bit.
with that because he's saying
Oh, what Jay's asking
that.
now? So let me throw in what Jay's saying.
Ooh.
He's asking, do blessings for a 99 on the white set and the black set or I guess he's saying, are they always honored by the other side? So let me answer it this way. First of all, I think the word is not honored as much as recognized.
Acknowledged.
Recognized.
No,
respected.
it's not acknowledged. It's recognized.
Yeah.
On the set, the traditional, from a protocol standpoint, the term he's looking for is recognized. So, and the answer would be yes. And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's a bad thing. Because what I mean by that is,
if you're crossing that line,
Mhm.
that's probably as old as the MCs are completely anyway.
Mhm.
What's going on one side? There's a dominant and an umbrella.
Right.
If that side recognizes something, or that side blesses something, that's their responsibility now.
Right.
I recognize if I see them do something, I'm not calling the chapter that's under the umbrella. I'm calling the umbrella.
Well, look, here's what
Hey,
I'm
man, I
looking
saw
at it
one
from
of your clubs do A, B, and C. That might bring heat on all of us.
Right. I'm looking at it from a different standpoint, though. When I say good, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. I'm talking about if you are that 99 who got blessed by whomever, right? And you decide to go, let's say you're in Florida and you decide I want to go to New York, right? And somebody in New York doesn't exactly love who blessed you. You might have a problem, especially if you're flying through Brooklyn and you got your shiny rags on with the support patch on from somebody in Florida who these guys don't love. You might have a problem. So are they going to recognize it? Yes, yes, they're going to recognize it, but are they going to recognize it? Yes.
A good example is out here in the West, where each state might have one dominant club. New Mexico is a perfect example. Ain't nothing but fat Mexicans running that state.
Right.
If you make phone calls, you will 99.999% get blessed on to roll through, might even be invited to dinner. You roll through and act like you don't have to, and you have a brick for somebody that they don't fuck with, you definitely are gonna have a problem.
Oh yeah,
not necessarily life
what
and
I'm
death, but
saying.
you're gonna get embarrassed.
And so I want to clear up one thing too for you, Jay. The black side, the white side. Even though, because I know you kind of brought this up a time or two before, but in states like Florida and many other states, the black side and the white side, for the most part, in most places, it's been my experience. There's a big understanding. It's less bullshit between the black set and the white set than it is amongst white
internally
clubs. And, it's more of a internally on each side. But typically, white folks and black folks on the set, those are typically non-issues. As some of y'all know, some of my best, I hate to say it this way, but some of my best friends are from white dominant clubs. I mean,
I got to Arizona in '93, and I've never seen a black and white issue in the MC world.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Against each other.
And when there is a hiccup here and there, 9 times out of 10, what happens is what should happen with everybody. There's a conversation, and the BS gets fixed. Hold on. Foxy said, she pointed out, we're doing the Egypt challenge in October. So talk about
Egypt.
Egypt, the country of Egypt. That we're not talking about Egypt, Lake Florida. We're talking about Egypt, the country.
I asked her what it was.
Yeah, that's the country in North Africa. Yeah, Foxy.
Well, I
and
know
her
it's a
girl-
country in North Africa.
A lot of people don't know Egypt is the northernmost country in Africa. I always like to point that little
Northernmost,
geographical tidbit
Egypt.
out there because
And it has cities.
Look, in the movies, they always show the Egyptians building the pyramids, and the Egyptians are people like Elizabeth Taylor and some white guy. Charlton
They look
Heston,
like me.
white people, right?
Kirk Douglas.
Like Egypt is in Africa, people. Just saying. Anyway,
It's part of the Middle Eastern desert region, but it's not inside the territorials of the Middle East. It is Africa.
Right, that part. So Ghost Eagle says, if you come in as a split, you still need your receipts. You're flying a new cut. You still need to stand by our protocol. Yes, sir. Foxy said, secret. The cross-country rider is my sister from another mister. Right on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so Foxy, so tape my brother, you said a mouthful protocol. What's that? Oh, that's another. It depends.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Oh, Foxy said she was saying the tape. She goes, tape my brother. You said a mouthful protocol. What's that? Oh, that's another. It depends.
And Foxy said that. See, I gotta wonder whether go or laugh.
Hey, what's up, Narvel?
Foxy said it. It's funny.
Hey, yeah, oh yeah. Hey, Narvel Muhammad said, what up, though? What up, though, brother? Hey, good show. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate it.
Foxy saying that to me could have stemmed from a whole different situation, though.
Yeah.
Protocol, get your ass back here.
Yeah. We had some excitement in Vestal Army now. And
something came to mind, and I hate this. Oh my God, I forgot what it was. The mileage bump or something like that. There's a woman out there that lives on two wheels on the road, like 24/7.
Oh,
and Heather Moe.
Yeah, well,
from the Diamond Effect.
Heather Moe is she's on the line right now. She goes on the Diamond Effect a lot. She actually kind of sort of started right over here with the Big BoneYard, actually. But
we all did.
Heather's on the line with us right now, or she's in the comments right now.
Listen, y'all don't realize that I am the original Bonehead.
Everything's on my phone. Heather, would you put up there who it is you were talking about that you went and rescued because there was a storm and you pulled up on her? Man, I have to tip my hat to Heather Moe.
Oh, Heather,
that's what we do.
Heather gets it.
That is what we do. That's why if we're not out riding with somebody, when they come through and there's a problem, we're supposed to pull up on them.
Yep. And that's the tradition of this MC stuff. Real quick, and if she posts that, I'm going to throw it up. But Ghost Eagle says, our brotherhood stands on tradition, protocol. We all know what it means to ride free and with clubs. I would not have it any other way. I agree 100%.
I would agree, but I would also disagree because we do not all know what protocol is.
Yeah, but it's our responsibility for those folks that don't know it. So like when the set's messed up, I look in the mirror and say, damn, I need to, like, especially if I see something in person, it's my job, because being on the set and loving this lifestyle, I'm going to tell. So somebody today went to shake hands with me while they had their gloves on. Guy goes in with the handshake. I acted like he had damn Ebola. Whoa, wait, hey, what's going on?
Yep.
And he didn't know what was going on. I'm like, hey, man, that's not a thing that we do. And he's like, oh, why is that? I was very surprised because this guy had been in his club for 2 years and nobody had ever.
And then what's your responsibility is to teach him.
Absolutely.
And
each one
teach and these one. And that's the whole thing. And I know I'm getting a little off track. Picture the entire MC world as a bunch of Indian tribes. You have the kids, you have the young braves, you have the warriors, and you have the different positions, medicine man, and chief, and tribal elders. When you work your way up, you're going to run across the young braves that are just allowed to go on a hunting party. And they don't know not to walk in front of the guy with the bow already pulled back.
Right.
They don't know not to walk in front of the guy that's already taken aim. you know, and our responsibility is to teach them. Look, this is what, not necessarily blast it out to embarrass them, but it's, hey, let me holler at you. When you meet a new bro, especially a patchover,
I want to talk to this guy.
Eye contact, skin to skin, you know. And that's just, I mean, I can't remember when I started wearing gloves, but I would take my gloves off if I was at work to shake somebody's hand. Otherwise, it's just a dap up.
Right.
You know, and I don't know why I thought that way, but when I got to the MC world, that was what we did. So it was like, okay, well, I already know how to do that. That was an easy lesson because I was already doing it. But too many people come in and they want to be chiefs.
Right.
And that's what Patchover.
But again,
you were talking about Kate earlier.
But that goes back to
Patch the Patch, and they gave him a regional boss position in 3 months.
Yeah.
I've been in 15 years, and I don't want to be a regional boss.
Yeah, look, if you've been in 15 years, you learned enough to not want to be a regional boss.
But the thing is, you'd probably be the best one.
Hey, look, let me get, well, my rule of thumb on that subject is this: the guy who really don't want to be the president and everybody else really wants him to be, he's the best guy for the job because he knows he's got an idea of what it takes.
You do good. You say, I really don't want it, but everybody still says you'd be perfect for it. I would actually probably take.
Yeah.
Now, I'm getting a little older and I'm not riding like I used to. That would disqualify me in my mind. You know, it's like, look, I ain't like one of the presidents we had in Georgia that shows up and then by himself and then takes off when his business is over to go home. But he's got over 1 million miles with his chapter. He can ride by himself.
Oh, yeah. So let me
president for a long time.
All right. So SoCal 636. I want to ask you about that bike. I love that 636 if it's what we're talking about. But SoCal 636 says, I think this is going to be our last little question for tonight, but SoCal says, what's the best way to go about joining a club? I'm in California and I've been wanting to join one for a long time. So
what part of California? Because I'll send them.
Well, wait a minute. So here, Wait a minute.
I'm in the West. You know what I'm on.
Jazz, wait a minute. We got to do a little investigating because as much as we'd like to give you the cookie cutter answer, the first thing is get a motorcycle and learn how to ride it.
That part.
You know, that's first thing because a motorcycle club requires a motorcycle. Because if I see one more time a motorcycle club pulling up in a damn caravan of cars, I'm going to flip my shit. Right. So get a motorcycle, keep it, learn how to ride it. Second, what type of motorcycle are you on? That's another thing.
Bike nights.
Because it's gonna determine, what sort of club if you're talking about an existing club, it's gonna determine where you're going and what kind of club you're looking at or thinking about. The next thing is, remember that first part where you get a motorcycle, learn how to ride it. Part 3 is ride it. Actually ride your motorcycle, go to some places, hang out, meet some folks, do it organically. Not like you see the first guy in a patch and like, hey, where do I sign? No, it ain't like that.
Just like when it comes to dating, you can't be thirsty.
Right. You get out there, you'll get to know some folks. They'll get to know a little something about you, build some relationships. If you do it organically, that's the best way to find yourself. I'll say it that way. That's the best way to find yourself in a motorcycle club. So get your motorcycle, ride it, learn to ride it. Well, everybody thinks that you got a motorcycle, they know how to ride already. That's not how it works.
No.
You get a motorcycle and actually really learn how to ride it. Learn how to and get in the habit of riding with some other people. Because guess what? In a motorcycle club, you ride with other people. So, and also if you're on a sport bike, a motorcycle club on sport bikes, a lot of them don't do all of the, like the crazy, I'm going to go 100 miles an hour and bust a wheelie and lane split at the same time. Look at me. Aren't I cool? No. Being in a motorcycle club, a proper motorcycle club is going to require you to have some discipline, right? Which is why you go through that process.
Discipline.
Right. Because you're a representative of that club, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Right. Even when you're not wearing rags, people, if they know that you're in that club, they're going to look at you like you are in fact the representative of that club, even when you're just going to Walmart. You know what I mean?
He's got options. He's got a ninja and a street bob.
Okay.
He's
So,
got options.
well, he's got some options. Now,
I had the
street bob
tiller.
might do the
Remember, I
trick,
had
but
that
some clubs won't
TLR.
let you. Some clubs,
Yeah.
I had the TLR and the dyno when I came in.
yeah.
And I rode the tiller in the morning and the dyno the rest of the day.
Yeah. See, my bros used to tell me I had my play bike, and then I had my side bitch. That's what they used to call it. I got my side bitch, and then I had my business bike. And my business bike was my Harley. My side bitch was that Yamaha Raider with the 1900 in it. Oh, she's a lot of fun. You know, you can get
It
down
was.
on her.
I bet it was.
Oh yeah, it still was.
And
It
the other
still
part
is.
about it, when you said going
Still
to Walmart,
is.
within 6 months of you patching in and riding, all the other clubs are going to recognize your face if they don't know your name.
Mm-hmm.
And they will see you at Walmart, and you might see it. I know I'm not on camera. I'm sitting there gesturing my fingers. Man, you look familiar. You know?
Yeah, right on.
And it's because they've seen you. So whether you're wearing rags or not, you could be in the cage with the family, and somebody in a club that's seen you enough
Oh yeah.
is going to know, I know that guy. And he might think, yeah, that guy rides he's on the set.
Yeah. And that's another reason why you don't go showing your ass when you're on the bike. Don't show your ass, because I promise you, you will hear about it. You will hear about it. And if you're in a proper club, you might feel about it, you know? So I'll say it like that. But I'll tell you what, this is a fun conversation. I swear it really is. But we've been at it for 1 hour and 11 minutes and 38 seconds.
And you're clock watching now.
Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah. He is. Don't let him lie.
I really am messing with
I
y'all.
tell y'all what,
We could have went for another 4 hours on
I
this
want to
one.
say thank you so much for Heather coming through, Heather Moe coming through. You know, we got big love for you. You're doing your thing. Folks love you. And obviously you ride your shit and do a lot of good stuff for people in the MC community and the biker community.
And I'm tipping my hat to you, Heather.
Yeah.
Foxy, the women, this is no longer a man's world.
Was it ever?
There may be male-only membership, but the women are holding it down.
Oh, yeah. We talk about that
Period.
practically every
I'm
week.
just going to say period. No balancing or nothing. Women are holding it down.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing their thing.
said
And
so
I'm
many
proud
times.
to be affiliated with everybody on two wheels.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
Just
nonetheless, but I'll tell you what, I want to thank everybody for coming through. Heather Moe, Ghost Eagle Guardian, and of course, Foxy J. Always love hearing from you. We got somebody new, Lucy Fee.
That's Uli. She used to be with Southeast Chapter.
Oh,
She
okay.
used to be down with Johnny Rose.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right on. Well, look, so I'll tell y'all what. I want everybody to have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Thank you for riding through on the Big BoneYard tonight. And we're going to be...
Hey, before we get out of here.
In 7 days. Go ahead, Tate.
Next Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
At the Elks Lodge in Hudson, Florida. There's going to be a badass bike night. There's going to be a few people you might recognize there. So if you in the Tampa, Hudson, Pasco County area, ride on through.
Oh,
the next day at 10 a.m., there's an ABATE meeting. It's open to everybody. I'll definitely be there. Yes, I know, Uli, you're Willet County now. I'm not. But definitely come and check us out. And other than that, now you can do your little spiel. I had to remind you, though.
My little spiel?
Your chapter, and I have to remind you.
Anyway, no, but seriously, just appreciate everybody coming through. And definitely that party is going to be absolutely freaking great. So don't look, when I'm sharing this stuff with y'all, when we're telling y'all show up like the RICO seminar was absolutely Jerry T knocked it out of the park. There was so many people that participated. It was good. A lot of folks who were hearing about it here reached out, and we made way. We made sure that they had proper invites to show up. So it was good. That party on Friday, definitely want to be there. If you're in the area, definitely slide on through. But other than that, we're going to try this again in about 7 days, and we're going to try not to mess it up. But nah, for real, man, thank y'all for coming through. And we're going to see y'all. I'm pretty sure we're going to see y'all next time on the Big BoneYard. Hey, love and respect to all of y'all.
Welcome to the Big BoneYard. Enter at your own risk.
Decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.